Welcome. You've been hired as a paraprofessional to work with students with disabilities. Training is a requirement of the state of Indiana's special education law. This is an overview of your roles and responsibilities as a special education paraprofessional. As you work with students with disabilities, the teachers of record in the building will provide ongoing training and information related to the specific needs of the students you will work with. Let's get started. This presentation is created by the Boone, Clinton, Northwest Hendricks Joint Services. This organization is a cooperative providing support to 6 school corporations in the area of special education. The 6 corporations include Rossville, Clinton Prairie, Clinton Central, Lebanon, Western Boone, and Northwest Hendricks. From our organization, we provide school psychologists to the corporations as well as an educational consultant, a teacher for the deaf of hard of hearing, and a teacher for the blind and low vision. You have been hired to work within one of the school buildings in one of our cooperative corporations. You will work closely with the special education and general education teachers to support students with exceptional needs as they make progress in their educational environment. This module will address the following areas: roles and duties, confidentiality of information, the special education eligibility categories, general special education procedures, team members, working with teachers in the building, working with children with disabilities, and some general suggestions. Throughout this module, you will hear the position referred to as a paraprofessional or an instructional assistant. Depending on the building, the term is used interchangeably. The paraprofessional is considered a school employee who works alongside and under the supervision of a licensed teacher to support and assist in providing instructional and other services to students with disabilities. The licensed teacher remains responsible for the overall conduct and management of the classroom or program, including the design, implementation, and evaluation of instructional programs and student progress. You will work under the direction and supervision of a licensed teacher or related service personnel to assist students in areas that relate to personal, social, and educational needs. Some of these responsibilities will include classroom management, assessment, behavior management, parent communication, and other miscellaneous duties. In the area of classroom management, you can see some of the roles and responsibilities of the teacher and the paraprofessional in this regard. The teacher will be responsible for planning the weekly schedule, lessons and learning centers for the classroom or individual students, and they are responsible for students at all times. They are also responsible for arranging schedules for each student in regards to their educational programming and related services such as occupational therapy, speech therapy, or physical therapy. The classroom teacher is responsible for communicating the students' needs and goals to the general education teachers or any other members of the student's team. As a paraprofessional, you support the classroom teacher in preparing teaching aids, gathering and copying materials, providing classroom supervision in emergency situations where the teacher might have to leave the classroom, accompanying and assisting individual students or groups of students to other locations in the school building, or possibly recording readings or listening to children read. In the area of assessment, the classroom teacher is responsible for assessing all students on an ongoing basis. They would be the individuals who would administer tests and are responsible for the collection and reporting of data. As a paraprofessional, you may be asked to assist in giving, monitoring, and scoring tests, helping with observing and charting students' behaviors and progress, or assisting in grading assignments or tests and recording grades. Behavior management is an important component of an educational experience for a student. The teacher would be responsible for planning strategies or interventions for behavior management for an entire class or individual students. The teacher is responsible for collecting, analyzing, and reporting data regarding student behavior. As a paraprofessional, you may assist in implementing the behavior strategies as provided by the teacher and also Observe and document behavior. Parent communication and collaboration is an important component of a student's educational experience. The teacher is responsible for making phone calls to parents as well as writing notes regarding progress, and they also initiate conferences with parents. Your responsibilities would include providing information to the teacher as well as potentially accompanying teacher to a conference if it's appropriate. Any communication with the parents is the responsibility of the classroom teacher or the teacher of record. Notes and phone calls to parents should be made by the licensed teacher. As a school employee, your primary function might be working with students with disabilities, but you might also be assigned some miscellaneous responsibilities by the building administrator. Some of these responsibilities might include supervision of the playground, cafeteria, or halls, helping set up special exhibits or activities in the building, reading with or to students, or possibly recording assignments as needed. Communication with the building administrator and the teachers to whom you're assigned is critical so you understand what your roles and responsibilities are within the building. Both federal and state law require our school to protect the confidentiality of students with special needs. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, the Family and Educational Right to Privacy Act, or FERPA, and Indiana's Article 7 Special Education Rules place specific requirements on schools in order to protect the privacy of student records. Information in educational records is confidential and must not be disclosed, either orally or in writing, without prior written consent from the student's parent or legal guardian. Generally, any written material concerning a student, which is maintained by the school, is considered an educational record. Personally identifiable information, such as the student's name, name of the student's parents, or personal characteristics that make the student's identity easily traceable, should not be disclosed without parental consent. School documents or publications that are available to the public must not differentiate students with special needs from other students. School yearbooks, school newspapers, or general newspaper articles should identify students with special needs only as a member of the class, for example, a third grade student. Do not identify students with labels or their eligibility category, or say the students in the special education class, students with learning disabilities, or developmental preschool class. This could be considered a breach of confidentiality. Teachers may discuss educational information with other teachers or staff involved with the student. Teachers may disclose information about a student to the paraprofessional if the information is related to the specific special needs and characteristics of the student with whom the paraprofessional will be working. In general, all school personnel should be cautious when discussing information about children with special needs with other staff. School personnel should not discuss information in situations or places that are not educational or confidential. Personally identifiable information should never be shared with anyone who does not have an educational need to know the information. Federal and state law have identified 13 eligibility categories for students with disabilities. The following slide will provide information with a basic summary of some of the key points of each category, how it adversely affects a student's educational performance, and some tips.
When talking about students with disabilities, use people-first language. This means putting the person first and the disability second. We wouldn't say the Down syndrome kid. We would say the kid with Down syndrome. You will notice that as you learn about the different eligibility types, there's no one characteristic that describes every child. Just as everyone has strengths and weaknesses that are unique unto themselves, every child with a disability has unique characteristics and qualities. Every child is different, and every child with a disability is a child first. Autism significantly affects learning, social, physical, and communication skills. No two students with autism may present the same way or with the same severity. Some students seek or avoid sensory stimulation, such as noise, movement, touch, smell, or taste. Others may engage in repetitive activities or echo what you say. Many have unusual preoccupations or obsessions. They sometimes are disorganized and often struggle with paper or pencil tasks and written expression. Students with autism are often visual learners, so providing visual supports like schedules or color coding helps students become independent. They need you to be consistent and benefit from preparation if anything unusual in the school day will occur. Some students need sensory activities or sensory breaks so that their body feels comfortable and ready to learn. Students who are blind or have low vision have difficulty learning, even with glasses or medical intervention. Students with vision issues may complain of pain, dizziness, or nausea. Learning printed material may be difficult. Some students may learn to use Braille or use a machine or special overlay to magnify text. A hearing impairment can negatively affect a student's language, speech, reading, and writing. Some students may have hearing aids or cochlear implants. A few students use sign language or learn to lip read. Most students benefit from materials being presented visually. Children with speech and language impairments have differences or delays in their speech sounds, voice, fluency, social skills, or language that impact their education. They are provided services by a speech-language pathologist. Depending on the nature of the impairment, it may impact their ability to read and write, understand directions, be understood, or interact with peers or staff. Some students may not be able to speak aloud and need to learn how to use a computer or communication boards to communicate. Students with cognitive disabilities have difficulty thinking, learning, and solving problems. This may be caused by genetics and/or health problems. A student will require more time to learn tasks and will probably learn best when given plenty of opportunities to practice. They may have difficulty in social skills, communication, or daily living skills like feeding and dressing. The disability will be characterized as mild, moderate, or severe in nature. Specific learning disability describes difficulties in one of the more areas of the learning process pictured here. Students with learning disabilities may have difficulty with grade-level reading, math, comprehension, or expression. A learning disability will also affect a student's ability to study, plan, organize, and problem solve. As a result, some students struggle with self-esteem and social interaction. A traumatic brain injury occurs when a student has an injury to the brain after birth. It may be caused by incidents such as car accidents, falls, and shaken baby syndrome. A student with a recent head injury will often recover many skills within a year of the injury, but may have some areas of deficit for the rest of his or her life. Depending on the type of injury and how recent the injury was, a student may have many of the same characteristics as a learning disability. They may also have health problems such as reduced stamina, seizures, headaches, and hearing or vision problems. Mood swings, loss of social skills, and confusion are also common. A student with traumatic brain injury may benefit from accommodations such as extended time, shortened schedules, and reducing the amount of work. Students with other health impairment have a health condition that affects strength, alertness, or vitality. In addition, this health condition must result in a limited alertness at school and adversely affect educational performance. The health conditions can include ADD, ADHD, Tourette syndrome, diabetes, cancer, or epilepsy. A student with other health impairment may need accommodations such as frequent breaks, shortened tasks, and modified homework. Students with emotional disabilities have an inability to learn or progress that can't be explained by cognitive, sensory, or other health factors that were described in the previous categories. Emotional disabilities will look different from student to student, but are exhibited over a long period of time and are of such a degree they adversely affect educational performance. Some students withdraw, are unhappy, and have poor relationships with others. Some are socially aggressive and interrupt or rebel. Still, other students may be volatile and become easily upset and often insecure. Some may be shy or timid and avoid people. They learn best by having consistency in their school day. Visual schedules, reward systems, and behavior plans are all helpful tools to help students with emotional disabilities navigate independently. Students with orthopedic impairments have severe physically disabling conditions. They may use adaptive equipment like a wheelchair or walker to navigate around school. They may need special equipment provided, such as a joystick for accessing a computer or adapted silverware for eating. The student typically receives services from a physical or occupational therapist to learn new motor skills or maintain those they already have. Developmental delay is an eligibility category solely for students 3 to 5 years of age. Students with developmental delay are preschoolers with delays in the areas of motor, cognition, language, social, emotional, or adaptive skills. As an IA, there may be many rules, procedures, and documents related to special education that you are not familiar with. In this section, we will briefly go over some more common special education procedures. First, some common questions. How does a student receive special education services? Does every student with an IEP have goals? When a student is referred for special education evaluation, they are assessed by a team. When the evaluation is complete, a case conference committee meets and reviews the evaluation. This team is made up of parents, teachers, therapists, and other professionals. They determine if the student is eligible for services. Every student who qualifies for special education services has an individual education plan, or IEP. This legal document is reviewed at least every 12 months. It contains information about what educational needs the student has, as well as their goals, accommodations, and services. You will want to be familiar with each student's IEP, as you may be asked to collect data or provide accommodations.
Students with disabilities have a team of professionals who've identified their needs, goals, and services. There may be many professionals who work with a particular student based on needs. In addition to a building administrator, the school-based team may include the general education teacher, a special education teacher, the speech therapist, an occupational therapist, or a physical therapist. In addition, many students have outside services as well to meet their needs. It is the special education teacher of record's responsibility to ensure that all team members are aware of the student's IEP and programming.
To better provide information to staff, the IEP at a glance can be generated by the special education teacher. Here is an example. At the top, you will see the student's identifying information, as well as their primary disability. Keep in mind a student may have more than one disability, such as a speech or language impairment, but only the primary disability is listed. Next is a description of the special education services that a student receives, such as resource time or speech therapy, as well as related services like occupational therapy or nursing care. Below are the goals individually written for that student for that particular 12 months. Finally, are accommodations allowed for the student. This might include calculators, extended time on tests, frequent breaks, or modified or shortened tasks. The IEP at a glance provides much of the information you need in 1 or 2 pages. Additional information, such as a behavior plan, evaluations, are all part of a student's file. All of these documents are confidential and should be kept in a secure area.
Your training as a paraprofessional begins the first day on the job. As you're helping prepare the classroom, ask questions about what's expected. You should know something about the subjects that are taught, the grade levels, and the curriculum. It's important that you become familiar with the material that you're supporting the classroom teacher with. It's also important to learn the daily routines, such as how to take attendance, where reports are, and schedules for students. As you're learning the classroom routines, it's also important to learn the equipment and technology that the students use that you're going to be asked to support. As with any job, be on time and be ready. As appropriate, attend staff meetings, luncheons, and other activities to become aware of the activities within the building. And as always, keep careful and accurate records.
Most people go into the field of education because they like to work with children. Nowadays, teaching involves working with almost as many adults. In order to appropriately support students with special needs, you, the instructional assistant, will have to collaborate, communicate, and develop effective working relationships with the adults in the classroom, whether it's a regular classroom or a special education classroom. Because instructional assistants are assigned to either a specific student, a specific program, or a specific classroom, you can safely assume you will always be a guest in someone else's house. This means you will have to cope and interact with instructional personnel. Consider it part of the job. Think about the best coworkers or classmates you've had. They were probably enthusiastic and pleasant people. Their attitude may inspire others to be the same. Just as the students you work with will respond to your attitude, so will your coworkers. Making an effort to always be positive, friendly, and polite with all staff is one of the best things you can do to start a great working relationship at your school. Common communication breakdowns in school often occur in the context of timing. The day is very busy, and you and your teachers will have a very full schedule with limited planning time. We will need to talk to your teachers about when the best time is to meet or how best to reach them. Remember, you must keep your communications confidential, so places like a teacher lounge or the copy room may not be an appropriate place to chat. If you have an idea or concern for a student and you want to talk to the teacher about it, there are many appropriate ways to communicate. Every teacher or situation might call for a different type of communication. Talk to your teachers about how and when. For example, it would be inappropriate to text during class, but it would also be inappropriate to email an urgent health or safety issue when it may not be read until the next school day. As an instructional assistant, you are sometimes the one who knows a child best in school, and you have valuable opinions and insights that need to be heard. Suppose you have a student, Sally, who is struggling to copy notes in social studies. You think that if Sally was given access to the notes, Sally wouldn't be so frustrated. You've spoken to the special education teacher, and she agrees that it's a good idea, but asks you to talk to the social studies teacher. What can you do?
Your role as a paraprofessional is to work with children. Education demands that we create conditions that will promote an atmosphere that's conducive to learning. Each day, bring with you to school the qualities of acceptance, empathy, tolerance, and a sense of humor. In addition, respect students' right to privacy and keep any information you may know about the student confidential. It's important to learn and use students' names as soon as possible. It shows them that you know them and you care. When possible, take time to chat with each student and show that you're interested in listening to them. The slightest word from you may make a child happy, sad, secure, or fearful. It becomes obvious that you must watch your words and actions carefully in all situations. Students learn at different rates, and they have different energy levels and different temperaments. It's important to try to divide your time evenly among all students. Students with disabilities have difficulty with learning and have learning problems. They already have struggles. Don't add to their problems by being impatient, intolerant, or grouchy. Stay calm. Your good classroom attitude promotes favorable student attitudes. If you are fair and consistent, they will learn more about being fair and consistent. A positive attitude is essential. Praise goes much further at winning the heart of a child than scolding. When behavioral concerns need to be addressed, it should be done quietly rather than in front of other students.
Catch me being good and praise me immediately. Reward my good faith attempts. Tell me it's time to work. Don't ask if I want to work. You know I'll say no. Talk less and show me more visuals. Give me time to think and process. Be quiet while I'm thinking. Break down hard problems into small pieces. Be consistent. Tell me why we are doing something. Make it meaningful to me. Take time to show me what to do. Give me consistent rules. give me opportunities to practice. Expect small, slow changes I can learn, but give me time.
Here are some general suggestions as you work as a paraprofessional in the school building. It's important to establish a good rapport with students and teachers. Get to know people's names, know what makes each child distinctive, their likes and dislikes. It's important to greet students as they enter the room. A smile or a sign of recognition and acceptance will go a long way. Praise students for appropriate behaviors and accomplishments, and respect each student as an individual. Expect the unexpected. There will be fire drills, storm drills, and snow delays. And act instead of reacting to inappropriate situations, and don't take things personally. Communicate with the teachers. Ask questions, express concerns, ask for ideas, and get clarification. Be patient and be flexible with students and staff. Each day is a new beginning. Don't carry a grudge. Don't yell at, embarrass, criticize, or threaten a student. And it's always important to listen. Follow through with promises, consequences, and rewards. With any job, dress neatly and be punctual for all duties. Understand what is expected. Know where students are at all times. Be sure you understand a student's assignment and the task that you're expected to perform. You are a key part of the educational team. Be sure you understand your assigned duties. If you have a question, be sure to get the clarification needed in order to do your job effectively. Schools are very busy places, but it's important to remember that it's a privilege to work with children with special needs. Respect their privacy and watch what you repeat. Don't mention names and don't give out confidential information. Don't leave a child alone. Always know where students are and that they're being supervised. Be friendly, maintain a sense of humor, and celebrate the accomplishments. This is a great place to work. Now that you've completed one component of the paraprofessional training requirements, you need to print out the paraprofessional training checklist document, which is located below the link for this video on the Joint Services website. You need to meet with your administrator and/or the teacher of record to discuss the other training requirements for this position. You need to discuss your role related to the special education and general education teachers with whom you'll be working. You need to determine what your role will be within those classrooms and the students in those programs. Next, you need to discuss information on the specific special needs and characteristics of the students with whom you'll be working. You might have been hired to work with one particular student. It's important that you meet with the teacher of record to identify what those particular needs are for the student and how you will support the student. Third, you'll need to discuss information regarding confidentiality of student information. That was briefly covered in this training video, but it is critical that you understand that important requirement of the law. Finally, review the corporation job description for your position, any procedures, and specific job duties. As was mentioned, you might be required to help with supervision in the building at some point, so just be sure you know what your job requirements are, also what time you're supposed to arrive and what time you depart each day. Once that completed checklist has been signed by you and the teacher of record, it needs to be sent to the Joint Services office. If you're new to the position, that needs to be sent within 1 week of your first day. If you're a returning paraprofessional, it needs to be sent to our office by September 30th annually. If you have any questions, please contact the Joint Services office or the teacher of record or building administrator with whom you'll be working. Good luck in your new position and welcome to the job.